Let me go live on Facebook. Facebook's so slow, man.
You got a quarter of the world on it.
There we go. All right. Sweet. I love clapping my hands at the very beginning. I don't know why. But we are live. Do what?
Say ready, break.
Ready? We are live today. We usually shoot a podcast at this time. And Jeremy and I talked about not shooting a podcast today, but more so going live, Facebook, go live on YouTube, and talk about some goal setting for 2025 and kind of go through some of the stuff that like we look at, some of the things that you need to be looking at. This can be a little interactive. So if you're watching and you have questions, feel free to like throw them in the chat. But before we get started, we always start the podcast off with dad joke of the day from Mr. Jeremy Works. So Jeremy,
Yeah.
do you have one today?
Yeah. I just burnt my Hawaiian pizza. I should have used Aloha temperature.
Oh, I'm going to pretend that one did not happen. And we're just going to push it from there. Give me another one. You got another one? It's actually not bad, but it kind of caught me off guard.
What soaps keep distinguished men away?
What soaps keep distinguished men away? I don't know. Dove soap?
Detergents.
Detergents. Okay. You wash your body with detergents? I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's see. This would be episode number 5. We're going to skip. Okay. So if you haven't seen we dropped the first one 2 weeks ago. We're dropping the second one, I believe today. Yeah, today's Tuesday. I think today is dropping the second one. It's with Jill. So the first one was Matt. Second one was Jill. And we're going to go through I love them. I love both of those.
Yep.
Both those people had them on.
Yeah, I'm actually client of Matt's now.
Are you?
Yep.
Because of that podcast?
Because of that podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome. I love it. So, I mean, that's what it's about, right? It's like growing the exposure, getting a lot of questions answered, learning new things. I mean, that's really what it's about. Networking.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. So without further ado, let's dive in I want to focus on like what people are doing for the rest of this month. And then let's talk about what people are doing or shouldn't do or should be doing in 2025. So first things first, the rest of the month. So it's December 10th as we're shooting this. December 10th. Most people are focused not on the wrong things. They're focused on family. They're focused on today. If you're watching this and you're in a W-2, you've got a handful more days and then you're off for a week. Traditionally, like depending on the W-2, obviously, right? Like when I was in electrical engineering, you could almost push for 2 weeks off. Take a couple of days here and there, you got 2 weeks off, which is great. But when I was in manufacturing and I was a machine operator, like we worked on the holidays. I had to ask off for Christmas. No, I'm sorry. I had to ask off for Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, we shut down. But as an engineer, it was like, can you do a project Christmas Day? I'm like, kick rocks. No, that's not happening. So because that's when a lot of your projects happen, like Easter, Good Friday, anything like that, like where the plant was shut down, that's time to do an integration. So, it's neither here nor there, but like if you're manufacturing and you're single, you can like triple time on those days.
Mm-hmm.
But as an engineer, like, you don't want to be there because you're like technically off. So, anyways. So let me ask you, Jeremy, what are you focused on for the rest of the year? December.
Set. I'm focused on staying strong, keeping the foot on the pedal, and getting everything lined up for 2025.
Okay. So like break that down just a little bit.
Yeah, so as far as example, on the sales side of things, I've had a couple conversations with some of my buyer clients recently about how this is a great time of year to get out there and stay in the hunt and get offers in, because a lot of people have lost the focus, but the deals are still out there, and it's a great opportunity to potentially get a discount on a property. So.
So in real estate sales, and I'm not a real estate agent, but you are.
Mhm.
Are you just licensed in New Hampshire?
I am, yeah.
I shouldn't say just. I should say, are you only licensed in New Hampshire? You're just a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So what about like I know this is the time of year where it really slows down for real estate for sales, right?
Mhm.
Like you see a huge dip like November, December, January, February, and then it kind of comes back up, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
In traditional sales, yes, but STR sales, like the last 3 months of the year is some of the is when most of the acquisition happens, because everybody wants to get those tax benefits, get those new properties up online, and get that full tax benefit.
So are you guys doing any big sales last month or this month?
Um, not big, no. Not here in New Hampshire. Some of the other people on my team, yeah, they've got a lot. They're in the bigger, more popular markets, and they're hot to trot for sure. They've got their plate
Okay.
full.
So like around us, it's very much even okay. So if you go to Blue Ridge, it's a very
Mhm.
touristy market. It's
Yep.
slowed down a lot because the prices are just ridiculous.
Yep.
And our market manager actually said that it dropped. The rental market has dropped 15% from last year. So like what I see is like more people are starting to come back in and purchase forever homes
Mhm.
versus just buying as an STR. Like it has to be a slamming deal for somebody to purchase one, like purchase it quickly. And so I've seen it really align with the residential, like regular residential market. And I know I've listed like for the last 3 years, I think I've listed a home at Thanksgiving and held it until like March, like in Georgia. Like we just knew like literally week of or week before Thanksgiving, it just sat. So what are you doing? I'm just curious. Like you have metrics that you're trying to hit, right, for the rest of
Mhm.
December.
Yep.
So what are you doing to really keep your eye on the prize to sell like however many you want to sell?
Yeah. So just looking at the MLS every day, seeing what there's out there for potential new deals and pushing those out to buyers. And going out, I'm actually tomorrow going to be headed out to do a couple showings tomorrow.
Okay. How many do you think you'll sell? Like how many do you want to sell this month? Close.
One, yeah, do one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many are you on track to do? Or do
None
you
right
have one
now.
on contract?
No, no.
Okay.
So
What about last month?
I'll end up this month with nothing, but next month it'll be, yeah.
So January you've got some lined up.
Hmm.
What about November?
November, none. So
Okay.
it's
I
been,
know
yeah.
you're relatively new too. Like you just got your license, you just started getting in the game.
No, it's been no, that it's not that. It's just like Blue Ridge prices, like my market here in the White Mountains has been a traditional vacation market for a long time. It's incredibly popular, and over the last 4 years, prices have, like everywhere, have rapidly gone up, and so returns are a lot harder to get because of that. The two primary groups of people that come to the White Mountains are couples that want to get away, or um, larger groups, multi-generational, or couple families. Um, there, and so the return, to get a decent return, you're going to want to get a 5 bedroom. Well, most 5 bedrooms up here are 1.3 to 2 million. So that the number of buyers that are out there for those properties is a lot less. And then the available properties for the one, maybe up to 2 bedroom for that couple's getaway, just
Mhm.
aren't as prevalent. the amount of 3-bedroom properties are out there, like you can throw a rock and hit 15 of them. So, I try and advise my clients to stay away from those. So it's just right now it's just the available properties to garner a decent return for the investor.
I got you. Well, come on down here to Blue Ridge. We got about 11 or 12 months of inventory on the market. I'm sure somebody can make a deal. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I'm telling you. Okay, so your goal for the rest of the year is to close one deal this month.
Yep.
Right. Try to get one deal. Okay. Do you have any other goals that you haven't hit or trying to hit, or maybe you pushed and you already hit it? Because like this time, like everybody's slowing down. Like the whole month from like Thanksgiving to January 1st, everybody just kind of halts. Even in active business, It just halts. People just slow down, take time off, which isn't bad. It just depends on where you're at in your business. And I want to talk about that for a second, but like for you specifically, do you have any goals that you've already hit or goals that you haven't hit other than the one that you're still striving to get?
So already hit, I believe, in speaking about Matt earlier, the new team member that we just brought on board yesterday from his group, I think is going to really help us level up on the back end of things. And then I've had a couple over the last week or so. I've had, I think three good good conversations with some potential integrators for my business. So have that, and then as far as achieving, I do have like one more co-host client locked up by the end of the year, and I believe I'll have that by the end of the week. So
maybe you should go for another one.
Maybe we should go for another one.
Maybe you should. You never know. I like to, push the limits there. I had a call last night with a gentleman, and his goal is 8 by the end of the year, and he's on track for that. And I was like, oh, that's interesting you said that. So what I'll be like, well, what about like 15 by the end of the year? If you're on track for a certain number, but when you like double it, you have to think outside the box. And then what happens when you hit more than what you originally decided to? I love pushing the limits on that stuff. Love it.
At this point, that's almost one a day.
There you go. One a day. So
what about you?
So for the end of the year, so I have we have goals like every month, right? I have PowerPath for one, like hitting certain metrics in PowerPath, hitting certain metrics in the management company, hitting certain metrics for the hotel. The goal for the hotel, so this is a big one, is like we're kind of coming in a slow season. And so like January, like December, January, February, and then it kind of picks back up. So we have like a dip. And so I have certain metrics that I try to hit every month on the hotel. And last month, honestly, I just got comfortable. And actually coming out of October, we had such a great month in October. I got really comfortable for November. We did half the revenue in November. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's not good. So looking at December, I actually built a revenue tracker for the competitors and what we did, because we now have numbers from last year this time. So like I can track exactly where we're at. And also it's in PowerPath. You just download it. I literally made it last 2 weeks ago. And because I was gonna say I can just send it to you, but you can download it. And in the tracker, it's got a couple of different pages, and I can actually see where I was at and what I'm at now. And I'm studying the flagship that's a big comp. And I'm seeing how they change their prices like a couple of dollars a day, either way. And then, limiting inventory on different, platforms or whatever. So I limited my inventory. I actually had a call with Cloudbeds yesterday, and she was like, don't put all your inventory out there because they're getting a discount. Some of them are getting discounts when they go through like Expedia. And then once you sell out on the rooms on Expedia, they have to come back to your room, or to your website. I was like, my God, that's gold. Like I thought that would like hurt you. She was like, no. So when I looked at this thing, it was like the flagship was like 130, 147, 227, 165, 140. I was like, what the heck? Nothing on the comps. And then they just sold out of rooms for that night, like as of yesterday. Because I was checking it again. I was like, oh my God. But not knowing that, I realized like I'm just following them, right? They spend millions of dollars a year in revenue management. So if they go up, I go up. If they go down, I go down. If they go up, I go up. So it's just like this thing. So anyways, I say that to say like my goal is a certain revenue goal for the hotel. And so I am looking at it almost every day, like not late. When you let up and you don't pay attention for it, like for a week, and you know this for the hotel, like when you don't pay attention to it, your numbers start going off the charts, or like your pricing's too high or whatever. And then you're like, I thought I had more bookings than that. So that's a big one for the hotel. So like not letting up. So I made the tracker like 2 weeks ago, like so we can track where everybody's at. Doing more event stuff for PowerPath, like to have more content or to have more interactions or relations or whatever you want to call it. So like I've got some money on that. We're actually, believe it or not, we're going to start like doing some marketing, which we haven't really done any. So that's a big one because I want to hit a certain number by the end of the year. And then we want to spend, so family wise, so you have like business family, right?
Yeah.
We want to spend Christmas in the snow. Well, the day after Christmas in the snow, which we don't get snow here. Like if it snows here, it's enough to like say, hey, go put on some pants, like
on up to the Aurora.
We're going to go to Boone. We booked a place for Boone. And so we hadn't booked a place. Like the goal the whole year was like, we want to spend something around Christmas in the snow. And we hadn't done it. And so this is one that like a lot of people let fall to the back burner is like family goals, vacations, time. And we're like, screw it, just freaking book something. We don't even care. And so like the way we do our Christmas is like we have, of course, Christmas Day. The following Saturday is I think the 28th.
Yep.
And my family comes to the house. And so we said, hey, look, we're going to push it to the 27th on Friday. We're going to have Christmas. And then we're going to leave Saturday morning and we're going to go stay somewhere for like 2 or 3 nights. Just somewhere up north, like it's Boone, North Carolina. And we're going to go snow tubing. Same place we went before. And go to the Biltmore. And It's all snow right now. Or I think it's snow right now up there. Yeah, I think so. Anyways, doesn't matter. But in Christmas, like this time, traditionally, there's always snow. And that's like we've never spent the holidays in snow, ever.
Oh, you're missing out.
Like, yeah, there was like snowpocalypse down here like 10, 15 years ago. That was it. So that's a big goal of ours. Like, and we almost didn't do it. Like, Allie was like, look, like, love my family to death, but like nobody was making a decision. And Allie's like, what do you want to do? Do you just want to push this to next year? And I was like, no, I want to spend Christmas time in the freaking snow, period.
Yeah.
Like that is a big thing. And she was like, done. I was like, I don't even care where we stay. I don't care if we stay at a hotel, STR, with a view, without a view. I don't care. I just want to be with you guys at this time. Let's just book something. So she did. She just booked it. She was like, if we get stuck with the whole bill, who cares? If nobody else goes, who cares? And I was like, done. So like seeing what you want and just making the decision. Like it almost, there was like, at one point it was like 70% chance that it was going to get flipped to next year. And like going back to like what your goals are, my goal is to spend this time, like, around Christmas in the snow.
But so that's, that's your goal. You're making it happen. And, you're able to do that because of that power path.
So I love your pun, but it's just like, and a lot of people like around this time, you get bogged down. You start like, I've got to spend a lot of money over here, and I've got to spend a lot of money over here, and I've got to spend a lot of attention over here and a lot of time over here. Literally anything from grocery shopping for your dinner to getting your last minute presents wrapped, last minute presents bought. And so now would be a really good time to like implement who, not how. So if you've got things you need to do, finding the people to help you do it. So Christmas lights is a big one for us. Putting up Christmas lights. Last year, I was introduced to the idea that somebody could put them up for me. And I was like, interesting. And I have a friend they had somebody come and put them up, and they connected me. It was like, hey, he does this, it's busy time of year or whatever.
Yep.
This is what he does around this time. I was like, okay, cool. So like we had it quoted, and it was like $1,250, including the material. And I was like, oh my God, no. So then I started quoting it out, and it was like 2,500, 3,000, 4,000. I was like, y'all are a bunch y'all's head. So I went back to the guy at 1,250. I was like, do it. And that was like, at the time last year, it was like, you're spending a lot of money on Christmas. And I was like, I don't know if I really want to spend $1,200 for somebody to put Christmas lights up, and they buy the lights or whatever. This year, he was like, you ready to do it? I was like, done. As soon as you can put them up, do it. It was like $700. All the same lights come back and all that. I was like, done. Do it. I don't even care what the price is. The family freaking loves it. We need to get the lights up as soon as possible. Done. Who, not how. Ain't no way I'm climbing up on my roof hanging lights from the gutters. That's just not going to happen. I love my family, but I'm not going to be doing that. We put out some blow-ups, and I'll handle that. But like climbing up on the roof and like putting stuff on the gutters, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of heights. So
Gotcha.
I got stuck on my roof one time with my buddy, like on the ground, and he was like, just jump. And I was like, no. I was trying to look down to see like chimney sweep, if I need to sweep my chimney. So I was looking down.
Yeah.
Started coming the way the pitch kind of hits together. Like I'm standing there, I'm probably like, I don't know, 10 feet off the ground. And I was like, I'm just going to live up here. Like, just bring me some lunch and some dinner. I'm just going to stay up here until it rains. It like freaked me out, like big time. So who knows how somebody else did that, but that was a goal of ours, is like putting Christmas lights up by a certain time every year. So, it's just important. It's very important to understand what you want. 98% of the world operates without a goal. 98 people out of 100 operate every day without a goal.
Yep.
So don't be the 98.
Don't be that
the 2. Right. So operate with a goal. So, okay. So let's talk about 2025. Most people are just going to wait till January 1st, or technically like January 6th, because that's like after all the kids go back to school. Mm-hmm. So people are waiting until January 6th. First of all, what's your biggest advice for 2025 goal setting? And what is your ideas about how to goal set for 2025?
Biggest ideas. So I like what Jesse Itzler does. Are you familiar with what he does?
Mm-mm.
So he does. He has his big ass calendar, and he sells it and all that. But
it's literally called Big Ass Calendar.
Yeah, you go to bigasscalendar.com.
Okay.
I haven't used that, but as far as like his planning, I like to do kind of what he does, whereas he does one. I think he calls it the Ikagi. Yeah. So basically, it's like one life-changing event per year, and then every quarter he adds in a new habit to improve his life or his health. I will say that I did not reach my big goal for this year, but I will. I'm rolling it over to next year. So
what is that big goal?
I want to do a single day rim to rim to rim of the Grand Canyon.
Like walking, or
it's gonna have to be like walking and running, but yeah, it'll end up being 43 miles and I think it's 14,000 feet of elevation gain.
Wow, that's crazy. So you're gonna do that this year?
Yeah, that's a plan. It'll be my longest. So every year I like to do this was actually the first year in a while that I haven't done one. But I like to do one long single day hike. The longest one I've done so far is an extended Pemi Loop here in New Hampshire. It's considered the second hardest day hike in the country. And it was 33 miles and 11,000 feet of elevation gain.
That's crazy.
So couldn't really walk for a week after, but It's
So how are you gonna make sure you do that next year?
just plan for it better. I set that as my goal, but didn't really plan for it. The best time of year to do that is, or when I want to do it is October. So I just didn't get it on the calendar early enough. So,
Okay, so you're gonna put it on the calendar this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I think it's very important to understand like how that mentality works right there. Like you didn't put it on the calendar, so you didn't make it a priority. Or you didn't make it a priority, so you didn't put it on the calendar. This year it's a priority, so you're gonna put it on the calendar first and then not allowing something to go over that date.
Yeah.
Like saying it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So for what we did to goal set for the next 6 months, I met with one of my mentors, and she was like, "Look, like every week, right? We do like lives, we do like content, we do like challenges or whatever, calls and all this stuff." She said, "You need to like we're just fine like a week to 2 weeks at a time." She's like, "You need to roadmap the next 6 months of your life." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, what do you mean?" She said, "Well, what we do is we roadmap up to a year. It takes a lot of practice, but you roadmap up to a year and nothing changes. Like you could change a date here or there if something like truly falls on it, but you don't change your dates." And you say, and it allows you to brainstorm like topics and ideas and events and whatever. But we know where we're going to be for the next 6 months, and we know what we're going to be doing for the next 6 months. So instead of having conversations like, "Oh, we should do that," or like, "Oh, we should go over here," or "We should go see this," like it's already done. So if it's something that we do want to see, we put it on the calendar. We roadmap for the next 6 months. And so when we did that, it's almost like pricing strategy. Like if you just launch an STR,
Yeah.
you're not really sure what the market looks like. You're just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants, trying to get some last minute bookings in for the next 2 weeks. That's about how it is. But when you set up where you know the entire market and you're like, "Hey, January's coming. It's October. January's coming. January's the slowest month of the year. We need to start making discounts for January so we can start getting the January bookings." So that is like it's really cool how it relates, because then we see like what's coming up and where we're at in the future and where we're at now.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
I like that analogy. Yeah.
Well, that would so that's what we did that about 2 months ago for the next 6 months. And so that takes us all the way into 2025. And 2025, there's metrics you need to be like across the business. So you need to have like personal goals, relationship goals, family goals, which relationship and family goals could be the same, and business goals,
Fitness,
money goals, whatever. Do what?
Fitness goals,
religious goals.
Mhm.
So you need to like write them all down. And if you're going to plan out the next 6 months, we need to figure out where that's going to land. So if it's like, let's just say you sit down and you meet with the family and the spouse, and you say, "I want to take 2 huge vacations this year." And you know where they're at. Like, "Hey, we're going to go to Jamaica and we're going to go to Texas," or whatever. I don't know. Like, there's this real big place in Texas I want to go spend a week, and then I want to go to Puerto Rico or whatever. So you sit down and you don't look at what you have around. Like, well, this might happen and I don't know. Like, you just book it. You just choose the date, choose the weekend, and you just book the trip. Put it on a credit card. If you can't afford it at the time, put it on a credit card, or do a payment plan or whatever. But if that's really what you want to do, book it now, and the universe will literally form around it. Your time will, like everything that comes across your plate, you're like, "No, we're going to be out of town this week. Hey, we need to figure out what we're going to do with the kids." If they're, if it's just a relationship, like it's just a marriage trip, a couple trip, we got to figure out what we're going to do with the kids. But like everything that comes in literally is going to be formed around that date. So like book the place, book the date. You don't have to say like, "I got to book all the plane tickets and I got to book the rental car." Like, just book the hotel or book the STR.
Mm-hmm.
Just book it, and then everything else will flow behind it.
So let me ask you this, because I know your kids are involved in sports like mine. Not knowing So you're planning 6 months ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you planning, or how are you fitting in any sort of sports things that may, like tournaments or anything like that may come
A
up
good
that would
question.
take an entire weekend
Mm-hmm.
and blow it up?
I'm glad you asked. I'm gonna be brutally honest. What is more important?
Yeah.
You go in a new place with your family for new experiences and new lessons, or a weekend softball tournament?
Yeah. So I guess it depends what's already on the calendar, right? Like if it's,
Mhm.
I don't know, if it's
So
it's like a trip to a local something, then maybe it's a softball tournament. But if it's new
yeah,
experience and new something, then
yep. So
yeah.
a lot of times we don't make the decisions because we're not operating with a goal, and we're not making decisions based off what we want. We're just saying, well, I don't know. Now, if softball is life, and you're like, I'm not going anywhere because softball is so important. Cool. Get your softball tournament schedule out, or wait till it comes out before you book something. Look at last year. Did you have a tournament in the same time last year?
Yeah.
Or just skip the whole season and book it after. Hey, we know we have like 3 bye weeks or whatever this time. Well, it's year round. Like softball's year round. Okay, then don't go anywhere. If softball is that important, then just don't go anywhere, or just go through somewhere through the week and like wait till the tournament. When we were coaching last year, I signed up for a couple of events, like in-person events, and they were through the week, and we wanted to go to the event, and it was like 8 G's for me and Allie to go. It was like 8K to go. And I could have talked myself out of the event. I said, I don't know. I've got school. Like, the kids have school. I got to do pickup, drop off, all this stuff. I could have said all of that, but I didn't because I wanted to go to the event. And so we booked the event. We booked another one in March. I don't even know what day it is, but we've already paid for it. And so through the week, we talked to the in-laws. We talked to, Brittany that works with us. Talked to Brittany. We talked to different people about like, hey, here's what we have going on. Here's where I need help. So we just booked a place, and we said, okay, this is what we have to figure out. You can always figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have people who they're like, hey, look, I don't have any help around the area. This happens. I'm like, cool. Take the kids with you. See who all's going. Maybe somebody can have a babysitter for a few hours throughout the days. Like, you can work that out. But if you want to do what?
I was just going to say, it goes back to, that or it reminds me of that quote that everything in life is figure-outable.
Yeah, everything. Yep. The universe will never give you something you can't handle. Ever. It just won't happen. Period. So everything is figure-outable. There's no question. So that's the biggest thing I would say around events. And like when we were coaching last year, we had these events booked. And when the event came up, Riley either missed softball because she went with us because we booked a trip together, or I just missed coaching, and I was the head coach for the softball team. And I was putting a lot of stress on myself about it. And Allie was like, we have assistant coaches for a reason. Like, they're licensed, they're certified. Just let them pick up the game. And I can tell you, 2 seasons ago, we left for the first one. First time I'd missed a game. And they won the first game while I was gone. That hurt. I can tell you that hurt really badly. Yeah. So, I mean, so that's around like trips and like, playing it out for 6 months. What do you do when that happens? You can figure it out. You just have to make the decision based off what you want. If you want to go to the event, do it. If you want to go on vacation, do it. If softball is life, or soccer is life, or football is life, or whatever, then wait till the season's over and don't go anywhere. If it's that important, honestly, like, your kids aren't going to remember the one tournament that you missed. You're not going to remember the one tournament you missed. You will remember the Grand Canyon that you pushed off because you had a softball tournament. So that's around events and family and goal setting there. And I would say that's for couples trips, vacations, events, anything like that. And I've seen some of the worst stuff. Like, you got the Costa Rica trip coming up in February. And I got a call from somebody who's like losing both of their parents. And he was like, I can't go now. So we're working out something on the side. Like, he can't go. He wants to go to the next one, but he can't go this time. So he's already paid. So he's like, I can't go. And we talked about it. He was like, I'm not going. Being home with the family and the kids, he's losing literally both of their parents, like at the same time. And I was like, that is more important than this. No question. No question. So you just have to figure out what means more to you. Now, business side, and you talk about like, well, how do you keep persistent or whatever? Create the goals for like KPIs. And I'll tell you to do this like for the rest of December. Like anybody that's watching that's like trying to hit metrics for the December, look at your numbers every day. Whatever your KPIs are. If it's gross bookings, if it's occupancy levels, if it's just income period, hours worked, whatever, sales. So if you're looking like selling real estate, you're like, I need to underwrite like 10 deals a day. Like KPIs every day. Every day you just have to look at it because where focus goes, energy flows. Right?
Right.
So if we're looking at gross bookings and like, hey, we want to do $150,000 this month in bookings, and you're at 118, just keep looking at it. And you'll say, oh, well, like, what about this comp? What about that? Are these comps booked? Are these comps booked? There was, I had a client. She sold the property. I think as of this week, she came back to me because like Christmas wasn't getting booked. So she was kind of pricing herself out of the market, and Christmas wasn't getting booked. And she was like, I think we should just block Christmas. Like block it manually and open it last minute, $2,000 a night. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. She was like, well, I saw this big guy that everybody knows. I saw this big guy. That's what he recommends. And I was like, yeah, I don't think he recommends that anymore because it wasn't a great idea. Like not wait until 2 weeks or 3 weeks before Christmas. Like, I think that's kind of like dangerous. You're going to go without Christmas booked. She was like, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I believe that. I was like, look, you do what you want. We had that conversation. We've had it over like a year, just like blocking different dates and different holidays. And we would go and we'd miss holidays. And so she wanted to do it for Christmas. I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. But if you pay attention to your Christmas, like if you don't have Christmas booked, so like, changing gears, if you're trying to get a full occupancy for the month and you miss the first week. So like our first week of December is super slow, like really slow.
Yeah.
And then it really picks up. If you're not paying attention to your month, you might have went and skipped last weekend and not had any bookings last weekend. And then you're going to roll in and you're going to say, okay, well, you're a third of the way through the month. How do you capture what you missed in the first week for the rest of the month? Like that's tough when you're not paying attention. So now, like, don't beat yourself up. Give yourself a little grace. Just look at your numbers every single day, like whatever that KPI is. If you're operating without KPIs, I can't help you. If you don't know your numbers, that's like rule number one. You got to know where you're at, what your gross bookings are, what your expenses are, what your occupancies levels are. Like you have to know it. Like I built this little thing for the hotel. It's like 6 lines. You plug in like 2 or 3 numbers and it'll put out like what your RevPAR is, occupancy for the month, your ADR, just to give us an idea of where we're at. Like, are we on track or where we're not? December, like it was like a punch in the gut. I mean, not December, November was a punch in the gut because we just got comfortable. And I was like, okay, we're good. We had a really good month. I'm not pushing as hard this month. Like you just have to keep pushing. Because when they come knocking that like mortgages due, electric bills due, you got a septic pump, and you're like, well, I don't have any bookings this month. Like, that's not good, right? Like it's every month. Every month resets. Every month resets. And this is why we don't look at our yearly income as goals. We look at monthly income as goals. Monthly. Question.
Yep.
You do the same thing.
Yeah, monthly. It's monthly, and I have yet to read it, but I like the concept. Read the book, but I like the concept of the 90-day year.
30-day year.
Yeah.
Yep. The 30-day year is that's actually a conference we're going to in March. Is a 30-day year, and about turning your annual income into your monthly income, and it's the same for goal setting. It's the same for booking revenue. It's the same for growing business. Like if you wait and you don't analyze it until like oh, it's at the end of Q1. Where did we do? Like, that's not good. That's a good way to like tell if we're on track for Q2, but like you need to look at it monthly. What did we do monthly?
Yep.
So it's it's astonishing how many people actually operate without any, like they just say like, well, I got every weekend booked, or like I've got, I don't know, we did really good in Q1, but Q2 is like really horrible. Like, okay, why? I don't really know. Okay, so let's like track some goals here, you know. So I would say like you have, if you're tracking goals, something that we do to goal set, something that we do every year is like we have like a spreadsheet, not a spreadsheet. We have a Word doc, and we'll go through and we'll just type out all the things that we want to do for the year, like for the like family, you know, me and Allie, whatever. Type out everything that we want to do for the year, and re-look at it like every quarter. It's usually when we go to an event. When we go to an event, it's like, because we go to a couple of, you know, a few events a year. Every event, we'll say like, when we get on the plane, we'll analyze where we're at. Like, did we do this? Did we do that? Did we do this? Did we do that? And we're so aligned that a lot of times, like, if you go ahead and book the place, you know, whenever you set the goal, go ahead and do this. You go ahead and put this on the calendar. They tend to happen. Then we'll get on the plane. We'll say, all right, where are we at? Check, check. Oh, we missed this one. Okay, we're going to put this in like Q2 or whatever. How do we do this next month or next year? Or next quarter. Let it roll over. Check, 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 check. So that's for like personal, and that's like for vacations and family. Allie had it on her bucket list to take her mother to Europe, and we did that last year. That was cool. No, that was this year.
That was this year.
That was this year in June. Yeah, this year. The opportunity came up. It was on her forefront of her mind, and she said, like, it solves a dilemma that we had like with the kids, because it was a wedding, one of my really good friends' weddings over there. So, anyways, check. That came off the bucket list. Check. That was a cool one.
Yeah.
Do y'all do anything like that for your family or relationship or anything like that?
As far as like writing it out, or
yeah, like setting your goals for a family, and like you sit down and say like, this is everything that we want to do this year. Do y'all ever analyze and like figure out where you're at?
Yeah. I don't think it's like I think we review it, but it's not like I wouldn't call it like a strict analysis, I guess. But yeah, we definitely review it and see where we're at. Yeah.
Well, you're going to now, I'm sure.
Yep.
So for business, and I would love to see like if you have something for like real estate sales, because I know as a real estate agent, you look at number of transactions and you look at gross volume, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do you have like a KPI tracker of like where you're at year to date, or where you're at month to date, or anything like that?
Yeah. So for me, one a month is, you know, where I'm, you know, just because I have all these things, you know, vertically aligned. You know, one transaction a month is kind of where I'm at for my KPI.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously more than that, that's great. But
you know, that's a habit.
What's a habit?
One a month.
Ooh, it's a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
if you're consistently at one a month, it's a habit. You have a habit of one a month.
Okay. So you're saying spring season I should have two when it's busy?
Should you? If you naturally do one,
yeah.
That's I had a conversation like that, and this is a totally different topic, but this is where it really gets into mindset. My cousin was doing 2 a month here in Georgia, and in Cartersville. So he's selling 2 a month. And I said, what if you could do 2 a week? And he was like, well, that'd be crazy. I was like, why? You're just focused on a 30-day term. But what if you focused on 7 days? So I'll just leave this right here. Do you know why people that make $100,000 a year make $100,000 a year?
Because they don't think bigger.
Because they don't know they can make $100,000 in a month.
Mm.
Do you know why the people who make $100,000 a month make $100,000 a month?
Because they don't know they can make $1 million a month.
Because they don't know they can make $100,000 in a week.
Oh,
Do you know why people that make $100,000 in a week make $100,000 a week?
because they don't know they can make it in a day.
Because they don't know they can make $100,000 in a day. All the way down to the hour, all the way down to the minute.
Mm.
That's why you sell one a month.
So speaking of that, real quick, did you and I do have to wrap it up, but did you happen to see that the largest sports contract in history was signed yesterday?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you see
it's unbelievable. It's
breakdown?
unbelievable.
Did you see the breakdown of it?
No, I haven't seen the breakdown. But if you really analyze what happened, if you really analyze the whole thing, people think it's insane because nobody's ever done it, because it's a habit at the constant volume of what people are signing contracts. It's just the norm. So if you close one a month, it's just the norm for you.
Hmm.
If you close 10 in a month, you'd be like, holy crap. And then the next month you do 3, you'd be pissed. It becomes your reality.
Yeah.
So and I'll relate that right back, because I know we're going to wrap this up. I'll relate that right back to like goal setting and KPI tracking. If you don't look at your numbers but once a month, you're crazy. And then you bring that down to a week and you analyze and you look at it like it's a habit. You look at it every week. Then you get closer to the end of the month, you start looking at it every day because you need to hit that number. Now, what if you did that for a weekly basis? If you said, I want to close 4 a month. That's what I want to do. That's my goal. I'm so close 4 a month.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is look at doing 1 a week. How would you get a client to do 1 a week? How would you find a client a property 1 a week? And what will happen is maybe you miss your mark on the first week, then your second week, and then in your third week, those first 2 come back and you get 3 under contract. You get 3 sold or whatever. And then you're working on your 4th one. It'll start like snowballing.
Yeah.
And it's like sales and lead gen is pretty much the best way to put it. It's like if you start focusing on a sale a day and you're like, hey, I'm going to close 30 this month. Well, you need to focus on a sale a day. Okay. But your first day, you're not going to land a sale. Your second day, you're not going to land a sale. Your third day, you might land a sale. But then you have the other 2 that are still in the pipeline. Then you close another one. And then your 2 close on a day with another one. So now you close 3 in that day. So it all starts adding up. And at the end of the month, you have between 28 and 32 sales closed. And then the next month, whoever didn't buy the month before that rolls into the second month. So the same thing for KPIs and like gross bookings. If you're like, I need to do $15,000 a month or $10,000 a month in gross bookings, 10K, that's $2,500 a week. So if you focus on your KPIs for $2,500 a week and you look at them every week, how do we get $2,500 this week in gross bookings? Well, that's a really good weekend booking and some days through the week. That's it. And if you miss that mark, then you're like, how do I get 4? Then you're in this weird like conundrum of how do I get 5K in the next week? Because you missed the first week because you weren't paying attention. So like, if you're going to hit your goals by the end of the year, you have to keep looking at your KPIs. You have to keep looking at your numbers. I don't care if you write it down on a piece of paper and a sticky note and put it up on your computer. It doesn't have to be like a fancy spreadsheet. Just look at them every single day. And then for 2025, you roll in and you're like, well, I already got the KPI tracker built. I already know how I'm going to handle it every week. Put it on your calendar and say KPI tracking, KPI watching, whatever, KPI review. I don't care what you call it. But know that it's in front of your face every week. And you're like, okay, and it's like a reminder. So even if you miss it for whatever reason, you're like, okay, I know I have to do it again. So then you're just paying attention every week, every day. You're like, okay, I need to hit $10,000 a month or whatever. And don't let up. If you hit 15 or 17 one month, don't allow yourself to go into like 8 or 7 the next month or 5. Because that tends to happen. That's exactly what I did with the hotel from October to November. We did 50 in October, and then we did 27 in November. And I was like, oh my God. I just let it swoop down. And so now we're pushing really hard at the end of the year to like really get it. And so if you have to start offering discounts or whatever you have to do to get those KPIs up, like the KPIs, key principal indicators. That's
Yep.
the most important part of your business. Because if you don't know how much money you're making, gross bookings, expenses, whatever, then like you don't know what you're doing. Your money's just going out the window, or it's just not coming in. So 2024, in the year strong. Watch your KPIs. I don't care what you have to build. Write it down on a piece of paper. Do some kind of Excel file. Watch them every day. 2025, you're going to roll in. You're already going to have the stuff built.
That's right.
All of it. Roll into it. Set your calendars. Map out the first, the next 6 months of your year. If you've got vacations on the list, go ahead and book them. Just book them. Just book anything else. Just book them. Know where you're going to be. Are you going to buy a property? Whatever. Like, put it on the paper and analyze it every quarter. What have you done? What have you not done? So do it for business, relationship goals, vacations with a family, money made, all of the above. Anything to add?
All the above. No, I think think that's a mic drop right there.
Well, I hope that helps because I know there's a lot of people struggling for the last bit of the year.
Yeah.
So, but with that, I will leave you. I know you got to go. I got to jump. This was a fun one. A little unorthodox, but it was a fun one.
Yeah.
And we'll be back on schedule next week. Podcast on Tuesday. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed to the Power Path podcast, please go to YouTube and subscribe to that. I will actually share that link in the chat in this Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook right now, I'll leave it there. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm glad. Just make sure you hit subscribe. And without further ado, I think that's it. And we'll wrap it up.
I'm in.
You wanna exit us like a normal podcast?
Like a normal podcast. It was good seeing you as always, even though you got the Power Path hat on. I couldn't see the lovely hair today. But
see that?
There it is.
I gotta get it cut.
There it is.
It's getting cut off.
Chop it. All right. He is Kyle Fugat. I am Jeremy Worth. Thanks for watching.
Adios.